This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. The information contained in this podcast is intended for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for individual professional legal advice. The podcast information was carefully compiled from vetted sources and references. However, R.O.S.E Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly cannot guarantee that you will not fall victim to a scam. Let's talk about scams. It's the must-listen show for anyone who wants to protect themselves and their loved ones from scams. Every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio, Joyce Petrowski, founder of R.O.S.E, and her guests will provide valuable insights and practical tips on how to recognize and protect yourself from scams. And now, here is your host, Joyce Petrowski.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be back. Joyce Petrowski, founder of R.O.S.E Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly. You can find more information on our website at roseadvocacy.org. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage and you can sign up for our mailed and or emailed newsletters that we send out monthly. And with the emailed newsletters, every Tuesday morning at 9:15, you're going to get a Tuesday tip in your email inbox. It's going to have it's going to have a tip about a specific area. Something you already are familiar with, then you can just bypass it. But the part of the reason why we do it, not only to get tips out, but we do it because it's a gentle reminder to always be on the lookout for scams. And getting that every week is going to remind you every week. And then at some of them you're not going to be familiar with on these tips. And so you're going to learn some new information that you can incorporate into your daily life. So a couple weeks ago, when the last time I was on, we talked about how to tell if a website was a good website or not. And since then, I've come across another website that I just wanted to show you really quickly. So I'm going to share my screen here. Give me just a minute. So you all should see this. And you can look here, the biggest database of scams. They give you a lot of information. They have some other educational information on scam trends, scam alerts. But what you can do up here where it says search a website, I just put in Amazon.com. Everybody's familiar with it, but just for searching, it's going to verify that I'm a human here. This should only take a second. There we go. Verification successful. Da, da, da. Everybody knows it's a good website. Trust score 100 out of 100. The nice thing about it is you can look at community reviews and you can look at what does Amazon.com have, why does they have an average to good trust score. And it's going to tell you detailed analysis if you want. Click here. It's going to have positive highlights, negative highlights, but you can go up here to this trust score where it says, what is this? And you can click on that and it's going to give you, information about how they do their domain trust rating. To get to their trust scores, positive indicators, scroll down, they're going to tell you some negative indicators, just a bunch of different information. So it's another way for you to, another avenue for you to check out a website if you're not familiar with it. But last week, Brian Watson was here. Sorry about that. And he talked about it is okay to hang up on scammers. And that is definitely a good thing to do. If you do happen to answer the phone and you realize that it's a scammer, it's not who they say they are, don't worry about being rude. I know we all, those of us that are older, we've been taught that it's rude to hang up on people. Don't worry about it. It's not rude. They're being rude to begin with, trying to trick you and exploit your emotions to take your money. So hang up on them if you do engage and realize, that it is, and then you realize that it's a scammer. Um, and I've heard from people, multiple people, over the years, but recently I've started hearing this again. And so I started checking it out. Is a lot of people will say, we only answer, the calls from people we know, which is a good thing to do. But then they'll say that, well, scammers don't leave voicemails. Well, I've been hearing from quite a few people that scammers are leaving voicemails, and especially with the advent of artificial intelligence and scammers really embracing the artificial intelligence. We've talked about that before with like the chat GPT, that can take out the bad grammar. So when you're reading that email, that text message, you get something in the mail, whatever it is, and you're like, oh wow, this is unexpected. I didn't know this. Oh, but the grammar's really good. There's no bad grammar, so maybe this is legit. Well, ChatGPT helps them figure out how to write in good grammar. And then there's the deep fakes with the videos. We've talked about that, where like on romance scams, they would never want to come on camera before because they didn't look anything like what their fake profile that they were purporting to be, and any pictures they were sending you, they didn't look like that. So they didn't want to come on camera. They always had an excuse. Well, now through the artificial intelligence, they can make that video look like whoever it is, look like the person in the pictures that they're sending you or that's on their fake profile. But yet they're still engaging with you. It looks real. They're talking to you. They're behind it, talking and saying everything. So, but there's also the voice cloning, and they only need. I've heard from some people 10 seconds. I've heard from others 15 to 20 seconds. I think it's somewhere in there, but it's a short amount of a recording of someone's voice is all they need to then manipulate that voice to say whatever the scammer wants that voice to say. And so we equated that to like the grandparent scams, where when they first started, they had no clue if you had grandkids. Well, then through a lot of online information and a lot of hacks and breaches of companies and getting that information on you, your personal information, they're able to figure out, your grandkids' names. Well, then it was like, well, yeah, they had the name, but the voice didn't sound like my grandkids. So I knew it was a scam. Well, now with this voice cloning, that voice can sound exactly like your grandchild, but they're also doing it to make it sound like the voice is coming from a reputable company. Could be a company that you've actually, done business with. It could be one of your utility companies. It could be a bank. And they're making it all the more believable. And when you don't answer the phone and it goes to voicemail, well, then they're leaving these voicemails that sound very believable and very reputable, that they are in fact these companies. There was an article that I found from the beginning of the year from Fox 5 in New York. It was published on January 28th, 2025. AI voicemail scams on the rise, what you need to know. And that's exactly what they're talking about, is how they've begun using incredibly realistic sounding AI generated voices and voicemails to conduct the schemes, like offering fake loan approvals or tax forgiveness, or saying that you haven't paid your bill, or things like that. And the FBI estimates that about $12 billion is lost annually to cybercrimes, or cyber scams, I should say, and that this new method of this AI generated voicemails is only adding in adding to the problem. Um, and it goes on to say, unlike traditional phone scams that often had telltale signs like accents or poor grammar, AI has enabled scammers to produce polished, convincing messages that are harder to identify as fake. So how do they get people's voices? Well, if you think about it, one way is if your voice, so on your voicemail greeting, if you have customized it and used your voice on your voicemail greeting, well, they can get it from that. So if you have used your voice there, you might want to seriously consider going and changing that to the default message, that just would normally, be a computer voice that whatever your carrier has. And I don't know if the carrier has these things or if it's different apps that you get, where you can make them sound like, they have an accent and stuff like that. But anyways, just seriously consider not using your voice for that voicemail greeting. Um, and then, there's a lot of, if you're on social media and you do a video, your voice is on that video. Um, there's just a lot of different ways. If you are, you could be, maybe you're doing videos for your company and everything's legit and stuff, and those videos are on the company's website. The They can find those on the company's website and stuff. So you just want to be careful, wherever your voice is, out there. But I did actually, I'm going to pull up a screenshot here that I took. I was on LinkedIn the other day, and this gentleman here, Thomas Lapp, he's a daily money manager, helping you manage household finances. Uh, One of his clients received a voicemail, and it was a scammer. And he goes on here to say that it says, "Hi, Comcast Xfinity calling. Due to continued silence, we have removed your 50% discount and are preparing a $1,000 account penalty. This charge will be locked into your next bill if you don't call back on the number showing on your caller ID right now." And we've talked about emotions before, how scams exploit your emotions. If you remember from a number of weeks back, in the beginning of the show, we talked about the anatomy of a scam, where they had the contact. And so here they contacted via phone. No one answered, so they left a voicemail. And the second part was creating that compelling reason to act, which is where your emotions come into play. And so based on what they're saying in this message, and you can look down here to what Thomas has said, urgency, right? Call back now. Scammers don't want you to think about what you're being told to do. And, that is exactly correct. Is It's urgent. Everything with scammers is urgent. They want you to call back right now because they know if they can the longer they keep you in this emotional state, the more apt they are to get what they want, which is your money. The longer time you have thinking about this and not engaging with that scammer, you're more apt to go into your rational state of mind and realize, okay, well, I don't have to call back now. Let me think about this. Let me, if I am a Comcast Xfinity customer, let me pull out one of my previous statements from Comcast Xfinity and let me call the customer service phone number on that statement, or go to the website that is listed on that statement, and I can check things out there with my account. Um, or talk to a customer service person there and check things out and find out if this is accurate or not. If you're not a Comcast Xfinity customer, well, then right off the bat, um, that this was a scam. But there's more emotions that they're exploiting here. Fear, right? They've put this account penalty in there. We've removed your 50% discount. Now, who wouldn't want a 50% discount on services or products? I mean, that's a substantial discount. We all love to save money and get discounts where we can. Well, adding that $1,000 account penalty is going to instill fear. It's like Thomas said here, it's a powerful emotion. Humans want to avoid fear. And a lot of us older adults, we've been we we pay our bills on time. We don't like to have outstanding items out there. We want to keep things current and we want to keep things in good standing. So we would be more apt to want to engage with this, and due to exploiting your emotion of fear and wanting to make sure that your account stays in good standing. A third one he recognizes here, anxiety. It says due to continued silence. So, did you, as Thomas said here, did you do something wrong? Should you have picked up the phone and answered the phone call? Was that the correct thing to do? So there's fears here, there's anxiety, there's urgency, all kinds of things, all kinds of emotions that they're trying to get you um, to call them right now to get this taken care of. Okay. Um, so just remember that we had those three tips, right? Be aware of your emotions, which is great, but when you're in that emotional state, it's very difficult to be aware of your emotions. Um, so always have that trusted friend that you can talk to about anything, um, because a lot of times you hear yourself talk about the situation out loud and you get out of that emotional state and you all of a sudden go, okay, wait, I figured this out. This doesn't make any sense. I've got it. Or maybe you're still in that emotional state. Maybe you're still exhibiting some fear or some anxiety in this instance. And it's going to take your friend in their rational state to talk to you about it, ask you questions, get you to understand that this is really a scam, or get you to say, hey, let's pull out one of your Comcast Xfinity statements that you have. Or if you keep them all online, pull it up. If you have an online account set up with them, log into your online account the way you normally would, and let's let's look at the account and see what's going on. And if we still have questions, like, okay, well, maybe the penalty hasn't posted yet. So let's find the customer service number on the online account and call them and find out what's going on. Your trusted person is going to be able to help you do that. And doing those things, finding the verified customer service number, logging on to your online account the way you normally would, getting onto the company's verified website, that is your way to verify the situation, the voicemail, all of that stuff, the phone number, to verify it before you can even begin to trust that that message was actually true. Um, let me get to another item here. Hang on a second. Um, I did some searching on voicemail scams just on Google, and I came across Better Business Bureau, which I think a lot of people know about the Better Business Bureau, but they have what's called a scam tracker. And I just went in, since it automatically came up Chandler, Arizona, which is by me. Um, you can you can put in really, any city and state you want in here. Or you could have it look up all of the United States. But I went into this all fields here and I just typed in voicemails because it's already a scam tracker. So I didn't need to put scams in, but I just typed in voicemails, and you'll see here, um, there's over 1,500 search results related to voicemails and scams. And so the latest one was just, I believe today's the 24th. It was yesterday. So they receive, and this is where people, they either do it online, or they call in and report whether they've lost money or not. They've reported that they've received something that they feel is a scam. And this one in particular, several calls from a private number stating there's a claim against me and ready to be filed through my county. And then I needed to call this number. And they have called my parents several times and have left voicemails stating they will send someone to my home to schedule a court date. Now, that can be scary, to make you want to call that number, because you don't want just anybody coming by your home. And the court date, a lot of people, they don't want to go to court. Um, Another one labeled phishing. This location was in New York, but uh, she sent me an email which got forwarded to compliance. She left me voicemails. Um, Again, that was on June 20th. Another one on June 20th. I had two voicemails from somebody claiming to be James Anderson, stating he was from Easy Money and I need to contact them in regards to a loan. He had my full name and last four digits of my social security number. Um, Here's another one on June 17th. They've called from several numbers and they leave several voicemails to this. And they go on to tell you the details of what's in the voicemails, clearing out people's personal information. But you can just see here how many come up. Current ones. This is just in the last week, last couple weeks, this month in June. There's another one on June 13th. Voicemails left for family and contact person stating looking to serve legal documents. Here's a debt collections. Harvey and Harvey law firm. Have no idea if that is even a valid law firm. If it is, then the scammers are impersonating that law firm. So they said they call continuously about a fraudulent person. They make it as though this person is missing important dates, such as court being served. Um, if you call, they behave ridiculously, which let me know they're not a lawyer's office. They lied about having caller ID. This person actually did call back and engaged. So and if you click over here on this arrow here, it'll give you the rest of the information. That was in Cedar Hill, Texas. Here's a phishing Venmo scam. Getting several calls from unknown numbers, leaving voicemails pretending to be Venmo. They say someone's trying to change my password and ask me to press 1 if it wasn't me. This person said I've not asked to change the password, but instead of pressing 1, they contacted Venmo. And Venmo said no one has attempted to change the password in her or in their account. It seems like the scammers are looking for me to do so over a call and learn my password that way. And that's exactly, that is very possible. They might also be asking for other information, but this was their way of verifying. They did not press 1 like the voicemail, uh, or call the number back. If they engaged with the call, pressing 1, they went and contacted Venmo directly, which that's their way to verify whether someone is actually trying to change the password to their account. Here's one where they ordered a knee brace through a website and completed the order using PayPal. Let's see, showed 2 other items that they didn't order. This is one maybe it said, I think the consumer left the voicemail. It wasn't necessarily a scammer calling them. Lending Tree imposter. This one, they got a text message for a $5,000 loan with a monthly payment. During that conversation, so they engaged with the text message. They asked for the routing number and account number and the username and password to the bank account. So there's a lot of, if you look at here, looks like there's about 8 to 10 on this page, and we're only back to May 30th. And look how many pages there are, 151 pages of all these different complaints filed with the Better Business Bureau. Here's one receiving voicemails from somebody claiming to be Brian Baker, stating they're trying to reach this person's mother. This was in Washington. So this is all over the United States. Let me see. Here's one from Aetna. Their scammer made several phone calls and left several voicemails claiming to be from Aetna. And they list the person's whole name in the voicemail. And that person works for a university system that did switch to using Aetna for insurance the past year. So that could be very believable when you get that voicemail because they did use Aetna, but it looks like this person either went directly through their company or contacted Aetna, probably with the phone number that's on their insurance card. to check things out. Here, left a voicemail to call this number to avoid legal action. Debt collections. The reasons run the gamut, but just know scammers are leaving voicemails. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here. So just know that scammers are leaving voicemails. Again, this is the way they evolve. They evolve their tactics, their techniques. They might evolve techniques with a particular scam to catch people off guard. They might take some tactics from one scam and tactics from another scam, mesh them together and come up with a whole new scam. They are constantly evolving what they're doing. They are making, and we've talked about this recently in the last month when the statistics came out from the FBI's IC3 report for 2024. They are making billions and billions of dollars every year on these scams, and that's just what's reported. So they are constantly evolving. They're perfecting their techniques to keep everybody on their toes. So don't assume that because they left a voice, because you have a voicemail, that it is accurate, that it is from the actual company or person that the voicemail is purporting to be from. You still need to check things out. Remember that verify before you can trust. Call the person with their verified phone number. Call the company with a verified phone number. Log on to your account with that company the way you normally would. Go on to the company's verified website. Check things out for yourself. And do not just call the phone number that's in the call history from the voicemail or any phone number or information that is given in the voicemail. Before you engage, check things out, verify, verify, verify. This is all used to protect yourself. So that's all I have for today. It's a short one today, but very important information. Thank you, Thomas, for posting that on LinkedIn. We don't see and we don't know everything that's out there, and so we like to hear from you guys. Whether we get an email, whether we see it on social media, you tag us on social media, comment on one of our posts about a situation that you might have encountered. We love to hear that information because we then take that information and we get it out to people, whether we do it on this radio show, we do it on social media, we do it in the newsletters, or a combination or all of the above. We have a lot of different avenues to get information out, and we want to hear from you, your experiences with the scams, whether you have lost money or not, engaged with the scammer or not. We want to hear what you guys are getting, so we can stay abreast as to what's going on out there and not have to wait maybe 6 months, 12 months down the road for somebody to be reporting on it, or to get a public service announcement from a government agency, or to see it in the statistics. So let us know. Our information, our website is roseadvocacy.org. We've got a contact us form on there down at the bottom. And again, if you scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, you can sign up for our mailed and or emailed newsletter that we send out monthly. And with the emailed newsletter, you will get what we call a Tip Tuesday every Tuesday morning at 9:15 Arizona time. It'll go out. It kind of mirrors what you see those Tip Tuesdays on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram as well. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find all of our past episodes on our YouTube channel at R.O.S.E Advocacy. And tune in every week. You don't want to miss an episode of Let's Talk About Scams, where we share a lot of valuable information. Thank you.
Well, that's all the knowledge for this episode. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio at k4hd.com as Joyce explores a variety of knowledge so you have the power to make scam protection your healthy habit. And until then, Feel free to reach out to Joyce and let's talk about scams.